All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks, you. My name is Deirdre Loftus. So good to meet you all in this intimate atmosphere. My favorite tradition growing up at Christmas time was that every year Santa would leave a book at the foot of our beds, my siblings and I, for us to wake up on Christmas morning and have this immediate gift. There was this notion that Santa came into our room the night before, he knows who we are, he knows his way around our house. Very cool. He doesn't do this for every family, especially cool. And we were told every year, now remember, when you wake up in the morning, stay in your room, open your book, read your book, read your book to each other, then come in and wake us up to go downstairs and open gifts. So let us sleep longer. So as rituals began to change, as we got older, Santa retired from leaving books at the bottom of our bed. We had gotten a little bit old. He had lots of other kids to go to deliver gifts at their houses. So my dad took up the responsibility of picking out the books that we got and putting the books at the base of our bed. This remains to be his favorite thing to do at Christmas. It remains to be our favorite thing, our favorite gift to receive. It's one of our favorite traditions as a family. So one year when I was in middle school, I remember waking up on Christmas morning and I opened my book and I received the book Animal Factory, which some of you might be familiar with. It's a book about the meat industry, the terrible things that happen in the meat industry, animal maltreatment. Y'all have seen documentaries. It's not a book that a middle schooler would be like, please buy me this, that looks amazing. And I remember being kind of bummed at first. And then I opened up the book, and on the inside, my dad had inscripted, "To my activist, love, Dad." Now, at this point in my life, when I think back on it, I don't remember having any opinions that were my own. I don't remember doing anything that made me seem like an activist, right? Something about me, though, told my upper-class, conservative, Christian, white, Republican father that this kid was going to be different. So I read the book, immediately became a vegetarian, and and he said to me, he would say to me, "Now, do you want meatballs with dinner tonight?" And I'd be like, "Dad, no, I'm an activist, remember?" No. And he'd say, "Okay, whatever you want to do, that's fine." And I have all of these, little memories like that scattered into my brain throughout my childhood and in my adulthood. I remember I had to write a paper on an influential person in history. My dad said, "Who are you writing your paper on?" And I said, "I'm writing my paper about Christopher Columbus, who was a rapist and a murderer, and we should change the day to honor someone who did some good for the world." And whoa, thank you. And my dad said, "Christopher Columbus discovered America." And I said, "No, Dad, I'm an activist. Let me write this paper." And he'd say, "Okay, just do your research." And then I remember when I was in college, I called him and I said, "Dad, I found out that the local police department at the school I went to is under federal investigation for racially profiling racially profiling churches, people coming out of churches in high populations of Hispanic communities. And they are checking people's green cards and their identification. And they're deporting people on their way out of church. Isn't that crazy? What are your opinions on immigration, Dad?" And he said, "You're not going to agree with my opinions on immigration. Do something about it, though, if you're mad about it." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be an activist. You're right." And these memories, they continued to happen. Conversations where I'd be like, "What do you think, Dad?" And he'd be like, "You know what I think. Continue to do your research, do what you want about it." And then as I got older, this trend didn't change. I called my dad after college, I was with my dad after college on a road trip, and I got a call that I received a job working for Planned Parenthood in the Adirondacks. And I remember not being sure what my dad would think about that, not having had conversations with him about that organization. And I was like, "Dad, what do you think? Should I take the job?" And he said, "Don't listen to anyone in our family, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, don't listen to anyone who tells you not to take this job. You do what you think is right. And I was like, damn, Dad, yeah, okay. So I took the job. And his opinion, I mean, he continues to be very different than me, right? So I still get a little bit nervous to have conversations with him. We have incredible conversations all of the time about politics and social issues and all of these things that lead to some intense arguments sometimes, and sometimes a mind changing. And I remember going to the Women's March and thinking, I was driving down to DC, and I made a conscious decision not to tell my parents. And I said, I'll just tell them when I'm back. They probably I don't know what their opinions are on protesting. I don't know what their thoughts are on this. And my dad called me and he said, hey, are you marching? And I was like, yeah, Dad, I am. And he was like, good, because you're an activist now. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Thank you. So I don't know what it was about me as a child that made him see me as this person. And I don't have any children of my own to know what it's like to know what a person is and who a person is before they are conscious of knowing who they are and what they are. But I do know that on that Christmas morning, when I was in middle school, my dad, with that book and with that inscription, gave me permission to be exactly who I am and exactly who he knew I was always going to be. And for that, I am forever grateful to him. Thank you.